All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get this entire reflection session started. It's good to see everyone here. Well, not visually, but you know what I mean. Let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here. Man, you want to be here, but I found out your high school band director passed away. Juke, you take as much time as you need. This session will be here for you when you are ready to watch. But you anime Juke don't ever feel like you need to apologize or justify why you have to be someplace else, especially for this. You take care, you do what you got to do. Take as long as you need. And hey, we'll be here. We'll be here. It's okay. Take as long as you need. But yeah, you do what you got to do. But yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here. Welcome back to yet another reflection session where we go over the chapters of One Piece that we get every single month. Now, for August, we have, thanks, of course, anytime. Now, for August, we got 3 chapters. We had multiple breaks throughout the month of August, but we got 3 chapters. All of them extremely solid because it dives into the history of rocks and events that start to lead up to, the God Valley incident, because we are getting ever closer to that incredibly crucial moment. It is so crazy that chapter 957 was so long ago. I lost my mind. Oh, haven't read chapters 155 to 158 yet, been busy, excited to read them soon? Then you're in the wrong place if you have not read those chapters yet, because I'm going to be talking about chapters 1156, 1157, and today's chapter of 1158. So if you don't want to be spoiled on stuff that's happening, then please go and read those chapters, because I don't want to be the guy that spoils what's about to happen within this chapter, and you haven't even gotten to that point yet, because I would hate to be that guy that does that to you. So please, go read that. Go read that. I'll give you like a good couple of seconds, because I don't want to just dive into it. Go read those. Yeah, come back later. Like Ozzy said, come back later. Got me an apple crisp. Because got me salmon. All right. So let's begin. So, first chapter we got, and let me get chat off to the side here, because I call myself having Twitch running in the background right now, where I'm trying to get a drop from Twitch, but Twitch is not linking up properly, even though the progress is going for Borderlands 4. See you next time. Of course. Take it easy, Ginger. Thank you for stopping in. But please go read those chapters so I don't spoil anything for you. But let me get chat off here. Chat up here on the phone so that way I can see just fine. Okay. And I got to charge my phone up because I was using it all morning, but I didn't put it in the charger. Let me take care of that too. Since this is the last thing I got to do today and there's no episode reaction, we're going to take our time with this particular session. Hold tight, my peoples. We're about to get started. This is just the opening act. Okay. All right, phone's charged. All right, there we go. So, in these chapters, let me go ahead and bring up chapter 1156 first. And this is the one where we got like a double spread panel of Roger and his left and right hands. And that's also contrasting Luffy with his left and right hands being Zoro and Sanji. But this chapter is called Idols. And it's in this chapter that we found out that Boa Hancock was not the original, most beautiful individual in the entire world. No! So, in chapter 1156, back in this time, a group of idols roamed the seas. And of course, we see all these different kingdoms where even the men are enamored by this person. The wives are upset by the fact that their husbands are enamored by this person. The Marines are so awestruck that they can't even bring themselves to try and fight this person. They were known as the Kuja Pirates. A band of warriors from the exotic country of women, Amazon Lily. These pirates were strong and beautiful and shunned the presence of men. And here we see Gloriosa, Empress of Amazon Lily, and current captain of the Kuja Pirates, future Granny Nyon. So we see her, and she's behaving just the same way that Boa would behave. If only I could strip away this beauty of mine. However, she's acting this way, but she doesn't care too much about the prestige that her beauty gives her. If only because apparently it's bringing her too much attention. Then we have Tritoma, who would later become Amazon Lily 2 generations later. And she's bringing all these fan letters to Gloriosa, but there's a gigantic mountain of letters in the background, who turns out to be for Shaki, who we learned is basically the what do you call it, first mate of the Kuja Pirates. But she has a mountain of fan letters over Gloriosa's simple handful that Tritoma, I keep calling her Triotoma, but Tritoma gives to her. Shaki gains so many more fan letters because Shaki is just that drop-dead gorgeous. Yes, the true star of the times who outshone even Gloriosa's beauty was her first mate, Shakuyaku. And her beauty was so much that the Roger Pirates would constantly try to take Shaki from them. But when the Roger Pirates clash, and this is Roger before he gets his mustache. This is Roger when he's constantly wearing his straw hat. Roger is all like, today, once and for all, you're finally going to hand over your first mate, Shakuyaku. And here's the thing. Gloriosa has a thing for Roger. She has a thing for Roger. But Roger ain't feeling her. He wants Shaki. But Shaki don't want Roger. She wants Rayleigh. And Rayleigh's all like, huh? You hear something? What's up? Rayleigh is oblivious to all of this. So, when Shaki shows up for the first time, she immediately bodies Roger and pretty much everybody else. And when I say bodies everyone else, she pretty much handles them easily because everyone loses the will to fight her because she's just that gorgeous. And mind you, it's not just her face that renders people unable to fight against her, but it's just everything about her. Her voice, her face, everything about Shaki makes even someone as powerful and as strong as Roger and Gabin, and they literally get weak at the knees. Because Roger is preparing his sword Ace to try and fight Shaki, but he's already trembling on the swing. And Roger's all like, darn, I love you, Shaki. And then Shaki says, I love you too, Roger. In the face of such beauty, the mighty made fools of themselves. And she corners him up against the wall and says, but I will belong to no one. And of course, everyone's all like, Shaki! Because Shaki, we didn't know. Okay. Back then, we had a feeling that something was going on with Shaki. The way she was able to fold everyone when she spoke. The way she was able to fold everyone when she spoke. We all knew there was something about Shaki back then. Then when we found out she was married to Rayleigh, we thought, oh, Rayleigh, you lucky dude. And in these chapters for August in the year 2025, we understand that Shaki is her. You know how we say dudes That guy is him. Shaki was her. Shaki was more beautiful than Boa Hancock, able to fold anyone under her charms. That's how beautiful she was. Now, it speaks to Boa Hancock's level of beauty. While she's considered to be the most beautiful woman in the world, you don't see any and every pirate falling over themselves in order to get Boa Hancock. You see a lot of them just kind of get, locked up when they're in her presence. Sanji, all sorts of other pirates, and that's without the use of her devil fruit. But Shaki was just so gorgeous, so impossibly beautiful that every person was immune to her charm, was subject to her charms, except for Rayleigh, because he was all like, oh. So, but the thing is, Shaki didn't have to say how beautiful she was. She knew it already. Exactly. You see, for example, exactly, Ozzy. Thank you. You see, when a person has to tell you how great they are at something, chances are they probably aren't that great at stuff. And if they have to say it multiple times, and I'm thinking back to, just in case if I said anything like that in the past, because I don't want to be the pot calling the kettle black, But when a person has to constantly remind you that they're capable of doing this stuff, or they say like, "Oh, I'm incredibly handsome. I'm incredibly handsome." Who are you trying to fool? Okay, and maybe you're not as handsome as you think you are if you keep having to say that over and over and over again. I am the king. I am the king. You will do what I say. I am the king. No person who calls himself the king is no true king. It's literally along those lines. Shaki ain't gotta say just how gorgeous she is. She just rolls with it. She knows how beautiful she is, and she keeps it moving. She ain't gotta tell you, 'cause she knows you already know. And she says, but I will belong to no one. Everyone's fawning over themselves, and Gloriosa is trying to get Roger's attention, going, don't you understand the honor of being loved by me, Roger? Move it, Gloriosa. I can't see Shaki. That's how great her beauty was. And mind you, Gloriosa was beautiful too. Let me not say like Shaki was just way more gorgeous than Gloriosa. They were both incredibly beautiful women. It's just that the world considers Shaki beautiful more. However, Gloriosa was gorgeous too. And yet, everyone folded at the mere sight of Shaki, to the point where someone as beautiful as Gloriosa was just straight up being ignored by Roger because Shaki's beauty was just that stupendous, magnificent. You hear that, Zarbon? You hear that, Zarbon? Yes, Lord Frieza. I gotta watch that over again. Dragon Ball Z Abridged is so good. But when she says, I feel for you, Ray, Rayleigh's all like, yeah, it's a bunch of idiots over here. He's the only person that is not falling over himself when Shaki's around. But Shaki notices that, and that starts to draw her to Rayleigh. So you see the angle here. Shaki exists. Roger wants Shaki. Gloriosa wants Roger. Roger doesn't want Gloriosa. Shaki wants Rayleigh. It's like the lines just keep going in different directions for this love maze. You got multiple people who want this certain individual, yet the person that everyone wants only wants one person. Ain't that something? The one person that everyone wants one person. She already got her eyes on Ray. So Ray's got that we might as well call him what is it? Silver's Risley? Not Rayleigh, Risley. Silver's Risley. That's what they say, right? Riz. They say Riz. I don't want to get used to saying that because it just doesn't feel natural to me. He's got that charisma that Shaki is attracted to. So continuing on, the Navy catches up, and it's all like, yeah, we gotta move. Yeah, Roger's all like, yeah, we gotta go. We gotta move. But then they say like, it's Garb. What? Disregard that order. Throw hands. See, he would leave if the Navy would show up because it's all like, it's whatever. We'll go ahead and leave now. Garp's on that ship. Forget it. We're running the smoke with Garp every single time. Every single time Garp shows up, it's all like, it's on sight. And both of them say, flatten them all. Pirate Gold D. Roger, future Pirate King and father of Ace. Navy HQ Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp, future naval hero and grandfather of Luffy. And here's the thing. This is, now mind you, in Pirate Warriors 4, we have Roger at the prime of his life, essentially full mustache, wearing his big old captain's coat and everything. And we have Garp when he's in his prime as well. No gray hair, just pure black hair. And it's great that they're there at their prime, but this is them when they're young adults. This is before they even reach the full crux of their power. And they clash with... How many... They've been clashing against each other for countless years. For, let's say this, decades. They have clashed with each other before their facial hair started to come in. That's how long they've been fighting each other. Before Roger got his big old mustache, before Garp got his big old circular mustache and beard, they were fighting and they were rivals to each other, even in their youngest of days. So time goes on and they're fighting each other. They're both using Haki against each other. Meteor Fist, Rampaging Spirit, what looks to be like a new attack from Roger. But we don't exactly get the specifics on what this Rampaging Spirit actually is. It doesn't sound like a battle cry, it sounds like an attack name, because we see these two fighting each other as the Kuja pirates make their escape. And Roger and Garp are fighting each other with Garp both using Conquerors during this age. Like they have, and here's the thing, they both have a solid understanding of Haki. That's something that needs to be noted here, because Haki, oh god, I would love to find out the origin of Haki and when the first showcase of Haki came from. Considering that Emu has it and Joy Boy have it, the Haki has existed for centuries. So I would love to find out the full crux of it, but here we see Roger and Garp using Haki against each other, and then more narration. Roger, Garp, and Rox, men whose tales were spread as legends in the great age of pirates, first clashed here in their hot-blooded youth. So when they were at their absolute youngest, when Rox's crew was just getting formed, this is when Roger and Garp were clashing against each other, and it would continue on until Roger's execution. For numerous years of their life, because I believe Roger was like in his 50s, right? Roger and Garp were both in their 50s around the time when his execution happened. Unless it was their 40s, but I think it was both of them were in their 50s during this time. So the Kuja, meanwhile, were tremendously popular and an indispensable part of the story of the era. These untouchable idols were the desire of all the salty dogs of the sea, and their bounty posters were traded for considerable sums. Hitting cameras and pursuers were an everyday problem for them. Paparazzi followed these women everywhere because they were just that gorgeous. Later, when Shakuyaku took the mantle of Empress, her popularity reached heights never before seen. And this is also when when she takes the mantle, when Shaki takes the mantle, this is when Gloriosa comes under the love sickness, because she's all... Her chest is feeling tight, which is what happened to Boa Hancock when she started to fall in love with Luffy. And even despite this, everyone is fawning over how beautiful Shaki and Gloriosa are, Gloriosa is, even though Gloriosa is starting to suffer the love sickness. The Dark King swag, really? When Shakuyaku took the mantle of Empress, her popularity reached heights never before seen. And then we cut to Ida's bar, where apparently in Elbaf, where a boat capsized, yep, Roger and Garp were nearly the same age. I believe Garp was about a year older. Yeah, they were basically around the same age. So in their absolute youth, they were first clashing with each other during the era of Rox. Because let's just say what it is. Rox's time in these flashbacks that we've been getting for One Piece is essentially Rox's era. He did what he wanted when he wanted, and there really wasn't anybody who could actually stop him. He was like, and I think back to the reflections when Rox straight up showed up in Emu's inner sanctum in the center of Marijois, which should be, no doubtedly, the most well-guarded and secretive place in all of Marijois, a section of the world that we have yet to see the full intricate parts of, which still boggles my mind to this day. Everything that happened to Rox after that, before the God Valley incident, was essentially his entire era. That's how powerful he was. Like, sure, we have the golden age of piracy that's happening right now, and Roger's era, but before that was Rox. So there's just so much about this flashback that I'm loving. But going back to Elbaf, the boat capsized and Loki was drowning. To be honest, we weren't even sure if we should save him or not. That's how bad his behavior has been while you were gone. And mind you, the Giants still feel a certain type of way about Loki. So when the ship started to capsize, they literally said, do we throw him overboard? Maybe our troubles will actually disappear if we just let him drown. So Ida's already getting on the case of the sailors. Harold is trying to say thank you for saving my son. And then Harold's all like, listen, Ida, it was Loki's decision to go out to sea. So what, if you abandon Loki, I'll drown you 100 times. And Loki's saying, I didn't ask for your help. And then the people on the boat are saying, like, there you see, that's the attitude he takes. Oh, he makes me so furious. The fact that you're getting all mad and upset over a kid, that says a lot about your maturity. And mind you, this is all because of what Estrid did to impose this ideal that Loki was cursed, just because it just coincidentally happened to be a string of bad luck for people in Elbaf. And it's all because of hearsay, and because this person in the castle said, oh, this kid is cursed, and now all this misfortune that happens is because of my own child, and now everyone looks at Loki this way. Everyone looks at Loki this way, like he's just some sort of demon spawn, but it's all because Estrid chose not to love him. And so this is all because of Loki lashing out. He lost his mom and his dad is too busy to stay home. Loki's just lonely, that's all. And then Loki's trying to be a kid saying, shut up, you hag. And then Ida says, you want to live with us? Harudin and Loki both say, no. You just want to pretend to be my mom and live in the castle, Ida. You just want all the money. And I'm like, all of us were like, that's not even the case, because they won't let her even live in the castle because she's an outsider giant. So obviously Loki has no idea the lengths that Ida has gone to just being in Elbaf at all. The elders are the ones that are keeping Ida from being anywhere near the castle. It's not like Ida's trying to get in good with Harold because, well, that ship has sailed. Otherwise, Harudin wouldn't be here. So we all know that Ida's not even the type of person that wants to be like a woman who digs for gold, as one of Kitty's kids would say. But that was Estrid. Let's move all of the jewelry into the main palace. Let's move all of the money and the chests full of gold in the main palace. Get that gold. We will only eat fancy silverware, the diamond encrusted 24-karat gold fork and spork and teaspoon and regular spoon and salad spoon and salad knife and steak knife and cake knife. We'll all keep it in the palace. No, Estrid was the one who wanted all of Harold's money. She was the issue. But of course Loki doesn't realize that. But Ida's just pushing. Here's the thing about Ida. She knows Loki's a kid. She's not saying, oh, shut up, you little kid, or just tuning him out completely. She's literally dismissing him. Which, for a little kid, when you get dismissed as a little kid, there are, and you want to be heard or treated like an adult, especially as a kid, and adults just dismiss you like it's all like, aw, that's so cute. But you don't want it to feel that way. It can feel kind of rude when someone treats you like an actual kid. But Ida's doing that, and that's upsetting Loki. And then the giants are all like, Ida says, "You kids are too sweet." And the other giants are all, "You're being too soft on Ida." And then we have Mato, who would later run the bar later on in life when, Kowloon was around and the Shanks and not Shanks pirates, but the red hair pirates would make their way to Elbaf. Mato would be the one that we would see later take over the bar after Ida. But we see Mato here saying, "I hate the way Loki talks to you, Ida. It's not fair." And, of course, Ida's tending to her, and then Loki screams, "I'm sick of this country already. Everyone's so weak and wimpy and trashy. I want to be free like rocks." So this is the kid who does not understand just how bad it would be around rocks. Of course, him getting bodied by rocks when rocks wanted nothing to do with him would certainly would leave a lasting impression. From that point on, every time Rocks came to invite Harold to join him, Loki begged and pleaded to join his pirate ship, but never got his way. Then, several months later, after the takeover of Pirate Island by the Rocks pirates, and we have all these different pirates who have made their way onto Pirate Island in order to join with the Rocks' crew. Mind you, we see that the mountain skull of what it used to be, we see that it was in the shape of a fish. And before we got the big giant holes in there, that was basically just like a completely bare mountain face until Rocks literally blew holes in both of them. And it shows that apparently he did it by himself, because he's standing literally in the mouth of in the openings of these holes while the debris is still falling after blowing them open. We still don't know Rocks' sword style. If this is a sword style, we don't know if he's incorporating large amounts of haki to create absolutely concussive force. We don't know if this is the result of a devil fruit. We don't know if this is just nothing but pure strength and not even haki related. We don't know the full specifics of Rocks' physical capabilities. That's scary though, considering it took both Roger and Garp to bring him down, as well as the rest of the Rocks pirates. So I'm just really curious about what type of sword style he uses, and I think we get a little bit more of a preview of what that could possibly be in the last chapter that we got for today, which was earlier today. But while everyone is trying to get in good with the Rocks pirates, we have one individual making his way in, and one random pirate talks to this person who's hooded, going, "You want to meet him? Go on, but the farther inland you go, the crazier the folks get. Good luck trying to get there. I'll give you a little push." And then everyone is laughing until this person, who is a very large individual, grabs this one pirate by the head, not by the hand, not by the neck, but by the entire head, and starts crushing his head in his hands. Turns out to be a mobster by the name of Kyo, future Silver Axe, future member of the Rocks Pirates. And many people are saying that he was the rival to Shiki. The powerful figures drawn to Rocks brought in other mighty types in their wake. So then we see the explosion that makes up the skull look of Pirate Island, with Rocks saying, "I think opening these holes was the right idea. Don't you agree? There, how about that view? Taking the sights." To sum it all, there's 2 devil fruits out there that I want. One of them is most likely found on Elbaf, and its power will only be truly unlocked if Harold eats it first. So it means that this devil fruit that we don't know anything about, more than likely the legendary devil fruit that Loki probably ate, we don't know the specific of it, but we know that its power is truly unlocked when it's in the hands of a giant. So, also, we need to talk about this. Has anyone ever thought about the fact that many of us see this as, many of us are used to, let's just make a tangent here. Devil fruits, in general, they always tend to be the size of normal people. They always tend to be the size of normal people. However, with the way that they had this legendary devil fruit sealed up in a chest somewhere, all of the chests are giant sized. Have we ever seen a devil fruit that was a size for a giant before? Or could it just be that all devil fruits are the standard size, and they were just keeping this particular devil fruit inside of a chest all by itself, but in a space that was appropriate for a devil fruit that size? Because let's also take into account that most devil fruits are about the size of a cantaloupe. Most are. Most are. Some of them are about the size of a mango, others are the size of a cantaloupe. But they tend to be around the same size for regular sized people. But have we ever thought about, like, okay, what are devil fruits to the size of giants, and let alone ancient giants who are Loki's size? They might as well be the size of a pea in terms of actually trying to eat them. It's just a random thought that I had. Because if it's just human size, you would think it would be. You would think it would be, in something smaller chest wise. Because I feel like that chest would be way too big for a devil fruit that would probably be less than the size of your average giant period on a piece of paper. They may eat it like a pill to them. Seems like it. I feel like all devil fruits are around the same size, regardless if you're a giant or if you're a human. And it's probably just maybe secured in something small so that it doesn't jostle around if they move it or something like that. I'm probably just really overthinking something so minuscule, but it's just popped into my head. It just popped into my head. Wait, if he ate a devil fruit, was it normal human size? Or did it somehow get to the size for a ancient giant to eat? But Rock says, sorry, I'm getting off on a full different tangent here, but I did say I could take my time. To sum it all, there's 2 devil fruits out there that I want. One of them is most likely found on Elbaf, and its power will only be truly unlocked if Harold eats it first. He does not talk about the second devil fruit that he's looking for. Then we get introduced to pretty much the rest of the Rock's pirate crew, with Pirate Captain John, Pirate Charlotte Linlin, future Big Mom, Edward Newgate, future Whitebeard, Pirate Strewson, Linlin's partner, and also the only person to witness the horror of Big Mom's 5th birthday on Elbaf, where she, heavily implied, consumed every single person at Mother Caramel's cottage. He's the only person who witnessed that. Then we get Pirate Barbell, a catfish fishman, and Pirate Kaido, future king of the beasts, with Kaido saying, can't you just suppress them with their strength? And that's why, let's see it here. Let's see, good point. They ain't coming back to life. Shut up. We're talking about Dream. If they exist, they're corpses. Let me actually just go through what everything says, because context is everything. We may find out more about devil fruits in that library if they don't get burned up quickly. I feel like the fires that are on the library, they are probably more than likely going to be saved, because all that information from Ohara, that's basically Robin's history. And I feel it would be a low blow if all of the voices of Ohara were burnt up and Robin never got a chance to look through everything and all that saved information. She's older now, so she can comprehend a lot more. So I honestly feel like they're going to save the library. It'll probably be a last minute thing, but they'll still save it. But going through Captain John and everyone else, one of them is most likely found on Elbaf, and his power will only truly be unlocked if Harold eats it first. After that, you want to find Galila, right? I only know of them as a legend. I got my info, and then that's Captain John. Big Mom says, yo, Kitten 1, it is good to see you. We are going over all the chapters of One Piece in the month of August. We had 3 chapters, including the new chapter today, and we're getting, formally introduced to more members of the Rocks Pirates. It's good to see you. I thought about some Jinbei there, so he might save it. See, I was thinking the exact same thing. But the question is, where would he get the water from? He would have to pull. Actually, you know what? The library is literally next to the school, which is right next to a big old massive lake underneath the school. So all you need is that Mizugo Koro Kanryui Panzioi, and then, a big old wave of water will just get whipped up. But Captain John, after that, you want to find Galila, right? I only know of them as a legend. And then Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin at the time, I've got my information network on the hunt, but there's no hint of a band of frozen giants anywhere. Whitebeard is the only one saying if they exist, they're corpses. Then we get Struzin, good point, they ain't coming back to life. And then Rox goes, shut up, we're talking about dreams here. Then we get Barbell, plus even if they were to somehow be brought back, they have no reason to listen to you. And that's why I need the power of Harold, King of Elbaf. And then Kaido's the one who says, can't you just suppress them with sheer strength? Same thing for Harold, just crush him and make him obey you. And that's when we see that Rox is a little bit more honorable than his reputation would have led you to believe. Because he immediately kicks Kaido in the face and says, don't ever say that to me again. And he starts beating, and he looks like he's proceeding to try, and he wants to fight. And Kaido gets upset and wants to fight Rox. And Rox already, and the thing is, one thing I didn't notice is that Rox was prepared to fight him too because he has his hand on his sword. Sorry. Eyelid was itching. Sorry, apologies for that. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for the review. Yes, yes. So Rox is prepared to fight against a young Kaido here, but they're trying to tell him to calm down. We just got this island. You want to smash it to pieces? This crew is bound to fall apart sooner or later. Then this is Captain John. Yeah, so why don't we earn a little more before that happens? Take it easy, new kid. And then this is when we see the more honorable side of Rox. He says, Harold's my pal. You say that nonsense again and I'll get rid of you first, Kaido. And Kaido has a bead of sweat on his face because he knows Rox means it. And he also knows that Rox is fully capable of fighting him. Because Rox is one of the few people that Kaido, even in his later years, would acknowledge is a person that could fight him easily. He messed around and found out? Exactly. But he didn't find out completely. He just got kicked in the face. So this ends the chapter with Rox saying, listen up, folks. Elbaf is the key to taking down the Holy Land. If you don't trust me on that, get lost. It's up to you whether or not you want to follow me on the fateful day of our mission. But if you got the stones for it, then stick around with me for a bit. I'll show you the peak of the world. And this is when the Rox Pirates is fully shown in excess. We see everyone. We see Wang Ji. We see what is it? Gaiju. We see Ganju. Yeah, we see man, the names of these dudes. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me look it up. Okay, hold on. I gotta check something. Okay, hold on. There's something else that I need to check as well. That's annoying. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay, I'll worry about it later. I'll worry about it later. Because what I was trying to check. Because since I had Twitch running in the background, I was trying to get that to connect, but it wasn't working out. But let me pull up the Rocks Pirates because I want to get his name right. I want to get his name right. So I don't go off track. Alright, because I always get his name wrong. What is it? What is it? Ganzui! 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 I thought it was like Gaiju, Ganjui, but it's it's Ganzui. Ganzui. So we get everyone here with the Rocks Pirates as he says, I'll show you the peak of the world. So here, specifically for this chapter, for me, this shows you that the Rocks Pirates wasn't necessarily a group that was... Well, Rocks himself wasn't exactly a person that... Because from the story that Sengoku told us, we find out that he was a person that would delve into forbidden knowledge. He was an incredibly violent person, and that only the people that were under him were only there for like mutual benefit. They were just like, all of them were just straight up loose cannons. All of them were loose cannons. But here we see that Rocks has a bit of a human side to him, despite his incredible power and all of his influence and all this stuff that he's doing. He's got like a certain amount of honor to him because of Kaido. Mind you, Kaido is an incredibly strong individual. Even when he was young, he was so powerful that they sent him into war, and they even wanted to send him to be a soldier under the world government just so his nation would, become affiliated with the world government as well. But he's willing to basically body Kaido if he ever insults his Herald, who he considers his friend. Sure, he begs him all the time to join his crew, but Rocks is all like, yeah, I know, but I'll come back. He's my friend. So that's Rocks. So you see that side of him, and it's like, I might actually like this character. So that was it for me. That was it for me for this chapter. So moving on to the next one, chapter 1157, Legendary Bar. Let me go back to the beginning. We see the Rocks Pirates ransacking an international charity sanctuary called Embezzle. Embezzle. Little play on words there. And you got all these priests here saying like, no, don't take this money, it's for charity. And then Big Mom's all like, liars, why is it collecting dust in your vault then? Because there's this older dude saying like, no wait, that money was all donated for the sake of hungry children. But Big Mom brings up the good point of like, if that's true, then why is it just sitting here? Like embezzlement? Yes, you catch on fast. There's a lot of wordplay when it comes to Oda and his writing for One Piece. But Big Mom says, if that's true, then why is it collecting dust in your vault if it's meant for hungry children? So while they're running, apparently Whitebeard and Kaido got trapped. And then Wang Ji says, hey, lower the lift one more time. We're still out of so much whining. Hey, Shiki. Right. Oh, I forgot about them. So Shiki was supposed to help them, but he drops a bomb. The One Piece version of Pulpit Pimps. Yeah, there's so many of them. Good Lord, they're making us good Christians actually look like nefarious people because of their money mongering. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Last thing we need is someone saying like, I need all this money, so close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We don't need lunatic mentality like that. It's crazy. But Kaido and Whitebeard are left trapped, And Shiki's all like, so long, suckers, and drops a bomb right where Kaido and Whitebeard are supposed to be. Because Shiki's all like, more money for the rest of us. So when they're running, the priest who's like, say, like, curses, they know about the grift we're running. Where are the soldiers? They're almost here. Make sure they don't escape. Yes, your hide. Yes, your holiness. So they close the gates on them. What you know about the incident? Close the door, pastor. I know a lot about it. And I know that it was wrong what he did. But we're not going to talk about it here. But they close the gates on them and they try to escape. Are they trying to lock us in here? Out of the way, Buckin. I'll smash them open. Then there's a rumbling because Whitebeard at this time already has the Quake fruit, and he basically tilts the entire island, causing incredible damage to the entire area. And mind you, since Whitebeard's Gura no Mi is indiscriminate about who it strikes, this is a perfect example of it hitting both enemies and allies alike, because Lin and everyone gets swept up and flipped and tossed throughout the air because of Newgate flipping this entire place. And the temple gets crushed into the ground while Kaido and Newgate make their way out. And here, Kaido doesn't have his devil fruit yet. He doesn't get that until after the God Valley incident. He says, I'm jealous, wish I had one of those. What, a fruit power? Take your time and choose wisely. It'll be with you for life. That's a good point. And we also see Kyo is here as well. Because Kyo was also down there. Silver Axe was also down there as well, I forgot to mention. He was also down there, and he's all like, hey, who tried to bury me alive down there? And Shiki's jumping through the air, pretending like it didn't happen, but Kyo can tell that it was him. It was you, Shiki! Oh, what if it isn't my good friend Kyo? Thank goodness you're alive. I was so worried. And they both start fighting and clashing with each other because they were already rivals before they joined Rocks, and they're still rivals when they're with Rocks. What kind of stupid games are you playing over there? Get the lead out, people. I'll kill you! That treasure better be safe. Of course, and that's Ganzui who says this. Then John, who many of us are starting to think is the right-hand man of Rocks, because John is always around Rocks. I like Shiki for some reason. Who would have the upper wing, Devil Fruit Kaido or Whitebeard? Whitebeard. My money's on Whitebeard. Mr. Never could have made it. Never could have made it if you don't close the doors. But yeah, my money is on Newgate as well. Because he has such a mastery over his own Devil Fruit, not to mention such a mastery over Haki, and we don't even know if Kaido at the... sorry. Devil Fruit Kaido versus Whitebeard. Kaido did say that one of the few peoples that could put up a fight against him is Whitebeard. He's in that group too. Because he can fly and avoid the Quake power. You say it as if he can't break the air itself. He can send shockwaves through the air. So the air is not safe for Kaido. Literally, even Sudu said no matter how far I went in the world, there would be no place safe from me, from his Devil Fruit, from his power. Even if Sudu, the great advisor, says I could not escape the power of Whitebeard, Kaido ain't getting away just because he can fly. But you also gotta think about, like, we've seen his Devil Fruit power be used to block things. So Kaido's Borobress, it would be blocked by blocked by Whitebeard, literally breaking the air and stopping it, because it's literally can be used as a shield. He did that to John Giant, where he just stopped his axe from moving, and then proceeded to break it after cracking the Airmore, and then created an epicenter that crushed John Giant's head in the process. So it's not like Kaido, and mind you, we know how powerful Kaido is. It took a literal Looney Tune for Kaido to be beaten. Cartoon logic, cartoon nonsense beat Kaido. So we know it can be done. But when it comes to Whitebeard, I honestly feel that Whitebeard has a better chance of fighting Kaido if the two were to fight against each other, especially if it's Prime Whitebeard versus Prime Kaido. I honestly feel that Whitebeard would still win in the end. Because the only reason why Whitebeard lost was because he had multiple heart attacks, and that kept him from using Conquerors when he was going to use it to keep Ace from being executed. It was Luffy who wound up using his to do that, but also the fact that despite all the damage he took, he was still able to move. He was able to fight against Akainu, but Akainu was the only person to give Whitebeard a substantial blow. And even then, Whitebeard was still moving and fighting, because even after he got hit and had even if he got slashed in the face and had half of his face torn off because of Akainu's Hellhound, he was still able to fight Teach for a little bit before his crew came in and just, murdered him. I do have Kaido over old Whitebeard, but definitely not Prime Whitebeard. Exactly. So I can't say Whitebeard during the time of the Marineford War, because he was definitely old. Like, his skills had definitely dulled to the point where Marco even said that if Whitebeard was a tad bit in his younger days, an attack from Squad, which pierced through his chest, it definitely would not have happened, because Whitebeard's observation was far stronger back then. But it has lessened over the years. He's still a very capable individual, but not as much as he used to be in his older age. Now, mind you, that is not exactly a factor, because Garp exists, where literally it says, I don't feel old, so I'm not old. Dude is already in his, 70s? And he is moving as if he's 25. Bodying every single person around him. Repelling devil fruit powers as if they're flies to be swatted. So, yeah, if we're talking about devil fruits, I would have to say Prime Whitebeard over Devil Fruit Kaido. That's me. But that's me, though. But continuing on, I honestly feel, and many of you said this, that Captain John may be the right-hand man of Rocks, because Captain John is always... Perfect. I'll be right back. I'm supposed to be looking out for a package. I'll be right back. All right. But many of us think that Captain John may be the right-hand man of Rocks. And he's saying, "Hey, Rocks, look at the sea around us. It's the Navy. We're surrounded." And then Rocks is laughing. And Rocks is laughing, saying, "Looks like we got trouble. Hey, no time for fighting amongst yourselves back there. We gotta hit the waves. It's the Navy." And then Whitebeard goes, "It's too soon. Were they tipped off?" Because all of the Navy is surrounding where the Rocks pirates are before they even leave, putting into the head that there might be a traitor among them. Let's see. So, which chapter is being recapped? Oh, we are currently on chapter 1157. That's what we're currently over. That means Rox is much stronger than Whitebeard for Whitebeard to join Rox's crew. Of course, I'm going to say this. Out of all the pirates we have seen, Rox during his time was the strongest. Because in order for you to win a Davy Back fight, I mean, you got to show the capabilities of beating people in physical combat and also beating them in all of the games. Rox did that. And that's where pretty much everyone joined his crew from. Because Rox kept winning. So Rox during his time, I would see to be the strongest, if not one of the strongest of his time, before the Age of Roger and before the Great Age of Piracy. Rox was literally one of the top pirates, if not the top pirate, before Roger came along. So just imagine his strength. If someone as strong as Whitebeard and Kaido and Big Mom look at Rox and say, like, yeah, we'll follow under his banner. We may not like each other, but we'll follow under this one man. So not only is his leadership skills, pretty good, not perfect because it's not like they all adore Rox. They frankly don't because they do what they want, but they still have a little modicum of subjugation to them where they don't deviate too far into angering Rox or going against what he says for their own personal benefit. So Rox, to me, is the strongest out of all of them, despite the fact that Whitebeard has pretty much the strongest Paramecia Devil Fruit in existence. And this is a young Whitebeard who still hasn't fully mastered that whole power yet either. But the Navy shows up, where Rox says, "Belay that, don't hit the waves. Hit the enemy, sink them all, and take their loot." And then we get narration. Within just 2 years of their founding, the same amount of time that the Straw Hats were training, in that frame of time, the Rocks Pirates were responsible for... Hold on. My dad is calling me. Sorry about that. My dad needed it was very important. He needed me for something. Okay. All right. There we go. Let's see. It's been good. About to hit that half century mark. Let's see. Let me see. Was it winning or respect? Just like I believe Lafitte is Teach's right hand man. We've seen no one else do that. There's multiples of them in separate places, but Rocks did manage to destroy one of them. Uh I was thinking. Let's see. They probably respect his power, but they don't respect each other. They've said it themselves. The implosion of this crew was inevitable, a ticking time bomb. Yeah. Happy early birthday. His birthday isn't until Saturday. And then Juke is going to be on Sunday. So we still got a considerable amount of time. We still have a considerable amount of time. Let me see. I forgot y'all. Is he dead? Are you talking about Shiki? I believe Shiki is still very much alive. We don't know, but chances are he may actually still be alive. That's the case. But close this out. But the thing with Shiki is we pretty much only know about him by way of the okay. All right, this thing is getting annoying. Hmm. Hold on. This has nothing to do with the stream. It's just that something isn't working as it should. Yeah, something isn't working as it should on this other thing that I'm linked to, and I am trying to fix it so that it does. Okay. Forgive me, it's just that it keeps. I want to make sure that this thing is actually working properly. Okay. Authorize. Okay. All right. I give up. This thing isn't working. This thing isn't working properly, and I'm upset that it won't work at all. Oh well. So, even though people still debate if Rox actually died, but I think he did, I think Rox's presence for the rest of the story will be through the inherited will through his son Teach. I think so as well. I think so as well. Now, I can't get behind the theory that the soul of Rox exists within Blackbeard, but I can get behind the will of Rox being what spurs him on. Maybe Rox left a journal the same way Odin did, of all of his knowledge and stuff that he could pass on to his son, because, well, we find out later on that, well, we'll find out after this particular chapter. But within 2 years of their founding, the Rocks Pirates were responsible. Sorry for the constant pauses, everybody. Please forgive me. Within just 2 years of their founding, the Rocks pirates were responsible for 16 recorded raids, 76 sunken ships, 14 ports burned to the ground, 5 entire towns leveled, 1 kingdom brought to ruin, 3 special violations of Article 18 of World Law, which, this is another thing. We don't know anything about the world law of One Piece. And I brought this up during the reaction. We don't know anything at all. Anything. We don't know anything. So, Article 18 of World Law, what is that supposed to mean to me? What is that supposed to mean? But we also see Rocks using his special sword style, which looks like it's infused with hockey, and he's just blowing apart ships as if they're nothing, destroying cannons as if they're nothing. 3 special violations of Article 18 of World Law, and 25 crimes that were completely covered up. 25 crimes! Though the future king of the pirates, Gold D. Roger, also sailed the seas at this time, these few years of frenetic activity might as well be known as the Era of Rocks. Then we get to Aneshi on the New World, which just so happens to be another nation that gave aid to Harold and his people. They're all being held hostage by the world government because Harold's trying to find out what's going on. But the world government wants to persecute them simply because this nation is unaffiliated. Unaffiliated countries are a lawless land in our eyes. The people who live in them have no rights. And I cannot wait for the downfall of the world government as a whole, especially with the way that they look at people. Oh, you're not affiliated? You're not affiliated with the world government in any way? Your land is lawless. Therefore, you have no rights. So if we want to kill you or wipe out all of you, there's no way that there's no reason for us to, give sympathy to you at all because you're unaffiliated. The whole notion of, oh, you're not affiliated with the world government, you're less than dirt, and we could wipe you all out if we wish, simply because you're unaffiliated, as if being affiliated with the world government gives you the right to live. Ain't that messed up? Think about it. If you're not affiliated with the world government, you have no rights as a human being. At all. Bro, I said that to myself, probably a scroll or something Teach found and read his plans. I think Rocks may learn to master hockey by using it as a blast, release its power, which we saw today. Yeah, he could just have a very forceful and a very potent sword style, but I would really like to know more. Do you realize how much his bounty would be nowadays with bounty inflation, if that's it? The hypocrisy of the world government is amazing. Does crimes against humanity ring a bell? That's the thing, though. Humans are only considered. You're only considered human if you're affiliated with the world government. If you're not affiliated with the world government, you literally have no rights. You are next to nothing in those who are affiliated with the world government, especially the Marines and the Navy and their special agents. You have no rights. You have no human rights. You have no decency rights. You have no civil rights. You have nothing if you are not affiliated with the world government. Your nation is known as lawless. He literally says unaffiliated countries are a lawless land in our eyes. Even if the people there have benevolent intentions, even if they don't want to do anything other than just live out peacefully, if the world government... I am in high demand today. Hold on. All right, back to it. Sorry. I am in high demand today. But yeah, When it comes to the world government, if you're unaffiliated, you're less than nothing and you have no rights. It doesn't matter if you don't do anything to nobody. If you help out another nation that maybe had a run-in with the world government, then you're all going to be brought up at you're all going to be tried as criminals, regardless of how many people. So, unaffiliated countries are a lawless land in our eyes. The people who live in them have no rights. And then Harold naively says, but it's not proper. It's not proper. The world government doesn't make all the rules of the world. And mind you, this dude is listening to him, but Harold does not realize just how bad the world government actually is. Because he sees the world government and the facilities and access that it can give to nations that are affiliated with them, but he's completely overlooking the fact that, and the thing that gets me about Harold is I understand what he's trying to achieve. I understand the angle of what he's trying to do, but he's overlooking one crucial thing. The world government does not care if he lives or dies unless he's affiliated with them. The same goes for any other nation that is unaffiliated with them. If they're affiliated, then they'll consider it. But being a part of the world government does not guarantee you peace. He doesn't realize this. He just sees the potential it could bring to the world. And of course, the way he speaks kind of reminds me of Atreus's naivete from God of War Ragnarok. Because I'm going to be honest with you, as seems barbaric, yes, it is barbaric. But because the world government is the top ruling body in the entire world, their word is law. So even if it's barbaric, no one can object to it because the world government sits at the top of the organizational worldwide food chain. Anything they say is fine to do is considered fine to do. Human trafficking, that's fine to do. The enslavement of people, that's fine to do. The straight up racism, that is literally fine to do, which is incredibly wrong. But if the world government says it's right, then the world has to acknowledge that it's right. Otherwise, they could risk the ire of the world government. Oh, you don't like this person because they're a fish man? Well, the world government said it was okay to hate you, so I'm just gonna hate you because the world government said it was okay. Stuff that is wrong, that we consider wrong in today's day and age, the world government allows because the world government does not exist to allow people to coexist. It exists as a way of control over the masses. That's the reason why when we had the Reverie with King Neptune and everyone was treated a little bit lesser than themselves because the world government put out the mandate and the ideology that anyone that isn't human should be treated less than human. And even if they are affiliated with the world government, they are to be treated the same way that you've always treated them. Oh, you didn't like, history says that you don't like fishmen? Well, just continue to treat people that way. They don't try to update history to make it easier for everyone to live, because if Saturn's saying back on Egghead was anything, the world doesn't need any more progress. Those were his words. And when I think about those words, I think of it more on a line of every type of progress. Racial progress, acceptance progress, being able to acknowledge that people are not insects, but they are humans. No progress whatsoever. No world where nations can come together and be under one unified banner and actually look out for one another. No, we need to continue this agenda of subjugation, suppression, depression, oppression. We need to continue that because those on high, from the celestial dragons up higher, they are the ones who we need to appease. The celestial dragons are the investors of the world, and what they look for is the complete and total obedience from literally everyone underneath them. The same way investors are always looking for people to make good games for them, they're looking for immediate returns from this. And if it can't deliver, then these people either get shut down in a gaming studio, or they get dismantled, or they get spread out across different companies all over. And this is all meant to appease the investors, because while they can put money forward for these projects and stuff to go forward, they want to make all that money back, and they need to have everything done to the letter so that way they can get more than just the money they put in back. With the world government, it works the same way with the celestial dragons, except they don't believe in giving in order to get more back. They just take. If you exist, your life is forfeit. Back in Sabaody, a woman was just walking with her man on the street. Charlos came up and says, "You're beautiful, you're now my new wife." And one of his dudes literally walked up and says, "Would you kindly come with us?" No words, no discussion, no barter. The dude that was with her got shot because he objected. This is the world that we need to maintain this, to keep the status quo. Exactly. And the status quo is that the rich remain rich and the poor remain poor. And if you're unaffiliated, you remain subject to whatever we do to you, and you will like it because you're not allied with us. You can't pay the tributes to the celestial dragons, you're unaffiliated, and your life is forfeit. You have no rights. You die when we tell you to. You starve when we tell you to. You freeze to death when we tell you to. You go without food or clothing or even homes as much as we tell you to, because you're unable to keep up with the status quo that we have set to make it difficult for you to keep up in the first place. That's the world government. So Harold here doesn't see that this is where they operate under. You see how I brought it back? He doesn't understand that this is the ideology of the world government. Keep the status quo. The rich remain rich and the poor remain poor, and the unaffiliated, unless they give us more than what we could ask for them, they will remain unaffiliated. And if these nations don't give us what we want, they have no rights. So, of course, Harold is fed up and tired with all this nonsense, going, "Let these people go. When Elbaf was suffering from famine, they brought us food and asked for nothing in return. They are our friends and saviors." And the people are saying, "Help us, King Harold. Now is the time to repay the debt we owe them. I will not back down from this." Listen, Harold, if you want to bring that up, Elbaf is still only a hopeful future member of the government. If you aid us, it might benefit you. But if you protect an unaffiliated nation, it will only decrease your chances of joining. If you, a nation that has the prospects of becoming a member of the government, aid an unaffiliated nation as we seek to basically enslave them, because all of the people at this port, their town has been ransacked, and they're being held hostage by the government. If you help these people that we've taken hostage and may sell into slavery or whatever we want, you will ruin your chances of joining the government. And of course, Harold thinks on a benevolent note. And he says now, and this agent says, "Now clear the way, Harold," while casually shooting a woman behind him. None of these prisoners are people to us. You're not even people to them. And yet, Harold still tries to join them because he thinks joining them will offer a better life for Elbaf. But he literally see, this is what I mean by naivete. I understand Harold trying to bring about an era of peace for Elbaf. Ooh, he's cooking. Hi, kitty. But despite Harold's naivete, is telling him it still would be a good idea to try and join the world government, even after I witnessed one of their agents shoot a woman who he doesn't even see as being people. They are just objects to do whatever they want. You're not an object in the face of the world government. You're not a person. You're not a person. I'm sorry. You're not a person in the eyes of the world government. You're an object to be done with whatever they choose. You're not a person. Your name, your age, your status, none of it matters. If you're unaffiliated, you're not even people. You're just a thing. So to this agent, he just has a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of objects just bound on his ship to do with what as he pleases. None of these prisoners are people to us. And that's when Harold gets mad and upset for this one time because he still tries to join them. Stupidly, he still tries to join them, and he tries to attack them. King Harold of Elbaf shows his true stripes after feigning allegiance to the government. He sinks an innocent warship. And of course, the newspaper is in the pocket of the world government. So they print out stuff to make everything that Harold's doing look bad and to make them look good in order to further decrease Harold's chances of being seen as a good king in the eyes of nations that are not Elbaf at all. And then we get back to Ida's bar, where Rox is chilling with Harold. I told you that's what the government does. Come on, Harold, let's share drinks at the castle. Nonsense, I'm not allowing a man of such infamy into my country. I mean, this area at the bottom of Elbaf still counts as Elbaf, so it's a little bit too late for you to be saying, I'm not allowing you into my country. And he's already in your country, but I feel like it's just semantics at this point. Join me, Harold, you and your whole country. Stop being so stubborn and just give up. I can't stand to see you bowing and scraping to the government anymore. Mark my words, Elbaf will be part of the world government one day. And my thing is, and we cut to some time later, where Harold has shaved his head completely bald, and just his ancient giant horns are sticking up. Harold still thinks joining the world government is a good idea, even though Rox is right. And you think shaving your head will make them see your contrition? What kind of culture did you get that from? Yes, Garb laughed at me too. Garb, you know how much he hates the brass he works for. He should just be a pirate already. It's an organization. Some are miscreants, but as a whole, the Navy works hard to save lives on a daily basis. You're only acknowledging the people who actually joined the Navy to save lives. You're not acknowledging the people that are on this crew, that are in the Marines, that believe in absolute justice. For those who don't know, absolute justice is the mythology for many Marines who think by any means necessary, even if civilian lives are swept up in the process. So Harold doesn't realize that there are people with that sort of ideology, not methodology, but ideology within the Marines themselves. Like, there's some miscreants, but as a whole, the Navy works hard to save lives on a daily basis. If that were true, why didn't they save your country? If the world government says how important your nation is, and why didn't they go out of the way? Because if they truly wanted to be a part, they would have gone out of their way to actually save your nation or give you aid. So that way you owe them, because that's such a world government thing to do. We'll save your nation, but in the process, you owe us. Your entire nation owes us. So think about why they didn't do that. Because they don't want anything to do with you, despite the fact that you keep trying. And the more I think about it, the more disappointed I am in Harold. And like I said, I understand what he's trying to do. I understand what he's trying to strive for, and I would too. If Luffy and Zebek actually met, their battle would probably destroy a whole island. More than likely. More than likely. He literally saw someone working for the world government shoot a helpless woman. Yet he continues to pursue the goal. Yep. So, he continues. They've even begun to accept a number of recruits from Elbaf, starting with John Giant. But what Harold doesn't know is that they weren't accepting recruits because John Giant sought out the Navy. John Giant was sold to the Navy by a literal child trafficker. Harold doesn't know this. He doesn't know about Mother Caramel and her orphanage, which takes in children, which then gets sold off to the world government and to the Marines for them to get their hands on more powerful soldiers. He doesn't know that's how John Giant wound up there. He doesn't know that's how many other giant children, when they were young, wound up in the care of the Marines. almost all of them were pretty much given over to the world government and sold there. Harold doesn't know that, but he sees John Giant because that just shows you more of his naivete. We know why John Giant is over there. We know how he got over there, but all Harold sees is they've even accepted some giants over on their side. Harold, do you know how they got over there? Well, of course, they got recruited and then they were accepted. No, no, they were sold over there. They were sold. They actually were sold from Elbaf, your actual home. They were sold to the world government and you didn't know? So, yeah. But mind you, actually, you know what? No. This is after Mother Caramel. This is way longer after Mother Caramel had already died because Big Mom is already an older lady during this time, so much time has passed, and John Giant is already a very big individual within the ranks of the Marines. But Harold doesn't know how John Giant got over there, so they even begun to accept a number of recruits from Elbaf, starting with John Giant. If only I could send more of our overly powerful warriors, I know their strength would go a long way towards helping the downtrodden. And I'm thinking to myself, Harold, you don't understand why they're taking giants. They're not using giants to help people. They're using giants for their muscle. When's the last time you actually saw a giant Marine go anywhere to help anybody? The last time we saw them, they were at Marineford. We haven't seen them since. They're not used to help people. They are used to combat threats to the world government, and that's it. Think about it. When's the last time we saw the Giant Squad? And they were doing something other than just being used as potential deterrents for a war. Don't worry, I'll wait. Right, never, right? Okay. So Harold doesn't understand that the world government does not see other people within their ranks as people. They see them as assets to be used, or tools, or blunt instruments, if you will, to be used as well. If only I could send more of our overly powerful warriors, which is not a good idea, because we don't want the world government actually getting an edge. I know their strength would go a long way towards helping the downtrodden. Sounds like the last thing I want to face out there. And then Rox is trying to get Ida to convince him. Come on, Ida, talk him out of this. Have to go now, thank you. Thank you for stopping by, Kitten One. I really do hope you enjoyed yourself. And Ida says, well, if Harold were my son, I think I'd say choose better friends. And here we have Mato trying to offer some juice to Loki, but he's not taking it. Then we cut to Navy HQ, where we get Kong, Sudo, Sengoku, and Garp talking to each other. The only giant I know that helped somebody was Saul back in Robin's flashback, and that's it? Exactly. All these giants. If only I could send more of our overly powerful warriors. I know their strength would go a long way towards helping the downtrodden. Right. As if the giants are being used to help the downtrodden now. They were, the only time we ever saw them was to try and fight Whitebeard. That was the last time we saw them. But we get Kong going, all a giant has to do is roll over in his sleep and he'll crush the humans sleeping next to him. If they get angry and lose control, it could be life-threatening. How are we supposed to coexist with something like that? That's what the higher-ups said. So the higher-ups are trying to offer excuse as to why having giants join their ranks is dangerous. Oh, if he rolls over and next to a human, he'll crush him. But I'm like, who in their right mind would willingly sleep next to a giant unless the giant is a very steady and solid sleeper? That seems like a very dumb thing to do, period. So the mere notion of like if he rolls over in his sleep, he'll crush the human sleeping next to him. Who would sleep next to a giant and you don't know if he's a tosser? That's just a very dumb thought in and of itself. So whoever this higher up was who said that was very stupid. Because if you're sleeping next to someone, unless you know them, you're not going to sleep too close. They could be a fighter in their sleep that likes to use elbows. You ain't gonna sleep too close to a person you don't know, let alone someone who's 100 times your size. There's too much of a threat there. That's just obvious. So the mere thought that anyone would willingly sleep next to a giant and ignore the consequences just in case he has a night terror, just imagine, just like, boom, that's a whole battalion gone. Also, I forgot to ask this earlier, but anyone got any potential guesses on if there's a traitor in the Rock's Pirates? And if they do believe there is one, who do you think it is? We've brought this up when we were reacting to this exact chapter, and many of us were saying Kyo. When I read through this chapter before we went on break, before we got today's chapter, many of us were saying Kyo the Hitman, Silver Axe himself, because him showing up, we don't see his history or anything, and he's just there. He's just there. We don't know where he comes from. We just know he's a rival of Shiki. And yet, when John says, hey, they showed up. No, when Whitebeard says, hey, they kind of showed up too quickly, were they tipped off? It means that there's someone amongst their ranks that is silently speaking to them in some way or fashion. I'm not saying Whitebeard because we already had that discussion way back when, because Whitebeard ain't the type to snitch. Whitebeard ain't no snitch. So I honestly feel like it's Kyo. I honestly feel like it's Silver Axe. And I know that's the reason why you chose not to say anything, CDs, because you're saying, like, I think it's Whitebeard. It's not. We done had this discussion. We ain't going over it again. But Kong is speaking to Garp, Sengoku, and Suru. We need to get through this chapter because we got one more after this. I've been carrying on for quite a while now, but I hope you guys don't mind. That's what the higher-up said. So, speak for yourself. Isn't that a good thing for the Navy to have, though? Harold's an honest, well-meaning man. He wants to change Elbaf's history. Rumor says that Rox has been trying to win him over. If he joins their crew, even the Navy might not be able to stop them. You're standing on it? You're standing on it alone. But I can see it being Kyo too. Again, what is Drake's epithet? Diaz Drake? Diaz Drakes? Because I think it's suspicious that Wang Ji, after all this, ends up becoming the Admiral of Pirate Island. That is true. Wang Ji does take over in Rox's stead as the ruler of Pirate Island after the God Valley incident, until the Rocky Port incident, where Blackbeard and Law clash, and then Wang Ji is gone. Huh. Feel that's why Teach did that cheap move, gang shooting Whitebeard? Ain't got nothing to do with it. Ain't no way. See, don't worry, I'll get your stool. I'll get your step stool, CDs, because I see you reaching. I see you reaching, so I'll get your step stool for you. But like I said, Drake's epithet is red flag. Red flag Diaz Drake. But we've already had this discussion. You're probably going to be the only person on that hill, CDs. You can be on there. Hey, I'm not saying you should get off. I'm not saying you should get off of that hill, but you will be the only one on that hill, because we've seen enough of Whitebeard to know that he is not the type. This dude wants to have a family. This is a family man. Family men don't snitch. Especially if it's to protect their own family. Mind you, he doesn't get a family until later on when he forms his own crew, but Whitebeard ain't no snitch. That hill is cold right now. Should have brought a blanket with you. You should have been prepared to be on that hill by yourself. You should have brought a blanket with you. You should have been prepared to be on that hill by yourself. But going back to this, Harold's an honest, well-meaning man. He wants to change Elbaf's history. Rumor says that Rox has been trying to win him over. If he joins their crew, even the Navy might not be able to stop them. I know, but still, sheesh, I'm trapped between a rock and a hard place. The problem is, historically speaking, they've been a vicious people. Yeah, and I want them on our side, Kong. Just bring Elbaf into the world government. You think that's up to me? I wish. Then we cut to Fulaled 42 years ago, because we keep regressing back in time. Hey, did you see this? It's a scandal. The papers are saying that Shakuyaku's not the captain of the Kuja Pirates anymore. And Many pirates are just losing their minds over the fact that Shaki is no longer the captain of the Kuja Pirates. Because some of them are all like, that's the whole reason I became a pirate in the first place, so I could have a chance of meeting her. But now she's no longer a pirate. She's no longer the captain. What did I waste my life for? So everyone's losing their minds that Shaki is no longer captaining the Kuja Pirates. We got Gloriosa and Big Mom, which we see Daifuku, we see Child Daifuku, Ovid, and Katakuri chilling with their mom in the distance. And Gloriosa says, what does Shaki think she's doing? Didn't she quit because she wanted to chase after a man just like you did, Gloriosa? Even the island of women can't defeat love, it seems. And then Gloriosa proceeds to roast Big Mom by saying, I didn't expect you to understand the agony of true love with the way you crank out babies like popcorn. Literally saying, yeah, you too loose to know what love is like. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. It's just, but for Big Mom it's, what is love? Please give me children. More children. More, please. That is literally Big Mom. That she's just having kids just to expand her reach and expand her crew. I find it hard to believe that she's got love sickness, though. If it's with Roger, I'll never forgive her. And then Stussy says, everyone always talks about Shaki this, Shaki that, but you never had eyes for anyone but me, right, Newgate? And Newgate says, I never had eyes for you at all. And then Stussy jumps on his back and, kind of grabs him. And says, but what? But it's me, Miss Buckin. I could have any man in the world. So what's your problem? My problem is I want you. That's a problem that many dudes today would not mind having. Look out, people, we got big news. What's up? The Kuja ship is by the shore. And it turns out that Shaki steps out on the pirate island itself. Every man who's there, every pirate who's there parts ways for Shaki to walk freely. It was one of the most shocking days in the history of Pirate Island. Of all people, the untouchable idol herself, object of the world's desire, set foot into the lair of wild, untamed beasts. And everyone is trying to figure out, okay, why are you here? And she says, is she really here or am I dreaming? Would you perhaps be looking to join the Rocks Pirates like Lady Gloriosa did? No, I want to live here for a little while. And everyone's all like, huh? What do you mean? I'm a pirate too, you know. I can quit the business, but the Navy's still after me. I gotta resist the urge to voice act, because I did this already. So I want to hide out here for the moment. Will you protect me? And because she's the most beautiful, everyone folds, and they says, of course we will! It smells here. We'll clean it up! We'll clean it up! I like to open my own business. We'll get it built right now! And we'll plant flowers! And Rox shows up and goes, yo, 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 what's all the ruckus? Bunch of numbskulls loitering about and causing a scene. It's the Rocks Pirates, oh no! Please, sirs, don't be angry, this was all our idea. Huh? Just don't kick her off the island! Because in the amount of time that Shaki was there, which was not long, they've already built her an entire giant bar building. This was the famed establishment of the Pirate Island Full-Alleged Shaki's Rip-Off Bar, noted for its month-long waiting list. And then Shaki shows up in an apron going, I'm glad you came. Welcome, you're my very first customer. Won't you stop in and have a drink? And that's when we see that Shaki's beauty is capable of affecting literally everyone. From Rox to Captain John to Shiki to even Kyo himself and Don Marlin and the person who said he didn't have eyes for anyone. His heart is beating and he's got heart on his eyes. Newgate himself. Shaki's beauty folded every man on the Rocks crew. Every single one of them. In the meantime, she would become an irreplaceable treasure to the pirates who made their island their home. And what is treasure if not something that can be stolen? And Rox is just enamored by everything that's going on. Shocky's saying like, "Oh, I can't get this jar open," and Marlin and Captain John are fighting over themselves, trying to help her out. Kyo's still in the background, enamored as usual. Everyone is just folding under the mere beauty and presence of Shocky. I want to say, if in terms of beauty, if we are going to compare her to someone that exists in real life, for me, I would have to say Shocky, maybe Kate Beckinsale levels of beautiful, because Kate Beckinsale is an incredibly beautiful person. But also, what is her name? What is her name that plays uh what is her name? Agent Carter? She's also very beautiful as well. I'm trying to remember her name. Or Bryce Howard? Bryce Dallas Howard, that's her name as well. It's a toss up. It's a toss up between Kate Beckinsale, the woman that plays Agent Carter in the MCU, or Bryce Dallas Howard, because they those are three incredibly beautiful women. But her beauty is so much that Rox can't help but just fawn over everything that she's doing. Then we cut to the Hall of Power in Marijois, where the elders go, "Give Harold this ultimatum then. If you warriors of Elbaf meet the following requirement, you will be allowed to join the world government. Kill Rox." And that's the end of the chapter. So, the chapter that we got today. Chapter 1158, Rox versus Harold, literally begins with Roger pouting at the fact that Shocky has decided to settle down on Fullaled, on Pirate Island itself. And not only that, but he's also pouting because of the little conversation that he had with Rayleigh. Let's see. Yeah, I told you. You're going to be on that hill by yourself. Yeah, I told you was gonna be on that hill by yourself. I tried to tell you. Hmm. 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 But Roger's pouting because a secret conversation, a little conversation that he had with Rayleigh, and it turns out that Rayleigh was given a letter by Shocky saying, "Come and get me." So with that, it's literally. Oh, don't worry, I wasn't saying because of something else. I was saying that because of what Ramil had said, because of the last Woowa stream that I had. He said I was getting my behind handed to me because I didn't know how to properly uh parry the boss during the ending of that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know how to parry that boss at all. It was horrible. But Rayleigh says, what did you talk about? Gavin was saying, like, what did you talk about? It was nothing. And Rayleigh says, I wasn't going to tell anyone else about this, but I'll make a special exception for you, Roger. So this was when we fought the Kuja before she abdicated. I remember noticing that Shakuyaku seemed to be ailing from some kind of sickness. When I heard the news that she was giving up her position, I worried for her health. And it turns out that ever since then, you've been sitting on this note she passed to you. I know it was too awkward to bring it up. It's clearly a love letter. How else should it be interpreted? And you say you're not tempted by this at all? I wouldn't say there's no temptation. I just don't want to be tied down, you know? That's the reason why. So he does. He does see Shocky as a beautiful person, as a beautiful woman, but he doesn't want to be locked into marriage. Listen up, folks. I'm not admitting defeat yet. Oh, look, Roger's feeling feisty. Pillaging is a pirate's true calling. If you want something, you take it. Ain't that right, boys? So that's when they start to they're preparing to make their way to Island Fullaled. And we also get mention of another crew member for the Roger Pirates by the name of Marks, who appears to be the cook of the group. But then we go slightly earlier in time, Sigurd Marijois, 40 years ago, where Garling shows up and speaks to all of the elders. Give me a sec. Sorry, Denim goes into barking fits whenever someone pulls up the garage, so I had to stop that. Otherwise, he would have continued to bark all day until his throat was hoarse and then still try to bark after that. But we get Garling, who's speaking to the elders, and they're saying, "You're getting ahead of yourself, Garling. The previous tourney just ended." "I know, but I was working on a separate matter, and I happened to moor my ship at this particular island. It's an unaffiliated nation with its own unique culture. I recommended that they join the world government, but I could not secure an agreement." So by them saying like they didn't want to join the world government, that's actually messed up. These people were asked to join the world government, but they said no. And so therefore that whole place was turned into the next tourney, the next native hunting competition, because they refused to join the world government. So I recommended that they join the world government, but I could not secure an agreement. The island is rich in resources and would be a great benefit to us. On top of that, I found something preposterous there. We don't know what it is. A discovery I never expected to make. The Great One will be quite pleased with it, I'm sure. Therefore, I strongly recommend God Valley for our next competition in 2 years' time. Then we get back to Shaki's bar, and there's such a long wait for people to even get inside. And Shaki is is serving people, and people don't even care that the service is kind of abysmal. Still crazy to me for we found out the crew's torturer before we found out who was the chef. Yeah, we found out the crew's torturer before we found out Marks was the chef. Ain't that that's funny to me. But Shaki continues. People say, "I came all the way from the North Blue. I hear you got great whiskey here. Everyone says your stew is the best, Shaki." And she's laughing. "Oh, that's so sweet of them. How precious. But I don't cook for the likes of you. It's just like I always imagined. This is the best. I got an order for my special simmered beans for you, Shaki. We're all out of whiskey. Cheap rum will do. Here's your high-end whiskey. I've never been so thankful for abysmal service." And Rox is beaming because he's smiling. "What's the matter, Rox? You seem so fulfilled. I didn't know any better. I think you might have lost interest in me." And Rox is so is so out there, deep in thought, that he's just like, "Huh?" And then Big Mom can tell. Mama. See, a woman's intuition can be scary." And Shaki is laughing as well. "Hey, pipe down. That's supposed to be a secret from everyone." "What are you all talking about?" "You're so dense. It's not just a woman, that's the face of a new father." And this is when we get the confirmation that not only does Rox actually have a woman secretly in his life, but he also now has a child. So, and that's supposed to be a secret, but Big Mom is capable of telling because, I mean, she's a mother herself. And then we get Roger showing up with Gavin and everyone else, but Rayleigh's not present. "Hey, Shaki, it's me, your lover boy." "Ah, it's the Roger Pirates." "Roger! How many times do I have to tell you this is my island? And it's Shaki's place. No fighting between customers, remember? So quit yapping, Porcupine." "What about the huge line outside? What did you wait the whole time? How'd you get in here?" And we see that the Roger Pirates basically bodied everybody in the line. Kind of echoing the same things I said during today's reaction, but you understand. And then Shaki gets in front, and mind you, Whitebeard leaves because he says it's getting too noisy in there. Yeah, he says, "I can't stand the noise those people make." And Whitebeard just straight up leaves. But then it shows Shaki going, "Oh, Roger, where's Ray?" "Oh, I told him to come with us, but he's resting on the ship. Said he wasn't feeling good." And then Gloriosa comes in and jumps on Roger, saying like, "Roger, darling, how I've missed you. You finally come to take me away on your ship." "Ah, Gloriosa, I keep telling you no. I don't need a woman who throws her hearts all over the place causing chaos." But Shaki would be an exception, of course. What kind of logic is that? Because Shaki is beautiful. And then Shaki walks off, pouting that Ray didn't show up. And here's the thing, Roger isn't protesting loudly because he knows that Shaki has feelings for Rayleigh. He just looks at her. because he remembers the conversation he and Ray had. Hey, is Newgate around? I want to have a drink with him. He just left. Stupid Rayleigh, why didn't he come? And this is Roger all like, stupid Rayleigh, why didn't... Nah, he left because he knows something. You really want that to be the case. And I see you still on that hill, still by yourself, right? You're really... Because when it comes... And the thing is, one thing I noticed about your CDs is that you will continue to latch onto the thought that Whitebeard is the traitor until Oda says otherwise. So any instance where it shows Whitebeard literally doing anything, you're going to think, he up to something. He's the snitch. He's going to tell. He's going to tell on him. I know it. I know it. Oh, he getting up from his chair. Oh, he going to tell him where they're at. Oh, he's going to let people know that Shaki's on island full of lead. Oh, he's looking at the camera. Oh, he's letting us know that he's about to betray all of them. Oh, he's raising his arm up. That's a sign of subjugation and rebellion against the Rocks pirates. Oh, he's burping. He's doing it in the direction of Rocks as a sign of disrespect. And Rocks ain't even in the room. I see what you're trying to do. You really want Whitebeard to be the traitor. So, when it turns out that Whitebeard is not the traitor, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yeah, I bet he was the one who got Rocks killed by leading someone to him. You are the only person on that hill that really wants Whitebeard to be the one that betrays the entire Rocks pirates. For what purpose? Just to get rid of people? That's such a superficial reason. And Whitebeard is not superficial. I need you. I need the all to make sense. Every hour I need it. Oh, please let this theory make sense. I come to thee. I need this theory to make sense. You really want it to make sense. I know you want it to make sense. I need it. I need it to make sense, so that way, if it happens in the manga, I can look at Kyushu and say, I told you so. I want it to make sense. I need it to make sense, so that way I can look at everyone who denied me and didn't join me on this hill. That is my Whitebeard agenda. I need it to make sense. I'm sorry, I'm just making fun now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You said exactly... You want to be right so that way you can say I told you so to everybody else? Now I know I ain't joining you. Now I know I ain't believing your theory. Now I know I can't join you with that because you want to be right just so you can rub it in our faces. No, we ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. We ain't about to do that. But Shaki is upset that Rayleigh isn't there. And then they start singing Binks's Brew. And mind you, we still see that big old giant egg on the Roger Pirate ship. We still don't know what it is. If Whitebeard was going to betray Rocks, if he would do it right to his face and not leak info that's yeah, Whitebeard ain't no snake-type person. He literally has the power to fight any and everybody. Why would he be sneaky and try to do things behind people's back? That just doesn't fit Whitebeard's MO, young or old. So it still doesn't make sense if Whitebeard happened to be a traitor due to everything we know about Whitebeard. But they sing about Binks's Brew, and then it shows Shaki starting to fall to the love sickness because her feelings towards Rayleigh are not being properly returned, and it just swelled up in her, and now she's suffering the love sickness because of Rayleigh. But time passes. By Shakuyaku's own decree, any who visited her bar were forbidden from fighting on the island. So even when rival pirates crossed paths there, no warfare resulted. But at sea, it was a different story. And then we cut back to Elbaf, where Harold takes the world government on their offer and immediately tries to throw hands with rocks. Like there's so much devastation. Trees are being blown apart. Even one that Loki's holding on to, it gets blown apart from the force of these two massively powerful Conqueror's Haki users fighting each other in the underworld of Elbaf. The lightning literally stretches up to the sun world of Elbaf itself. That is just how far and how powerful their fight is reaching. That's how far out it's reaching, how high up it's reaching. How can you let the government get inside your head like that, Harold? Believe me, I wavered on this. Is this so? Apparently, you didn't waver enough because you're fighting rocks. And mind you, they are they are harming each other because they're both bleeding. They're both bleeding. Rox is scary and strong. Look how Rox put fear in Emu. I wouldn't say he didn't put fear in Emu because Emu was not bothered by Rox being there. But he did stare him down as if to say, "Do you know who you're talking to?" So it's not even a matter of Emu fears Rox. It's just that I feel like Emu is so detached from humanity, he doesn't see they don't see anything as even worth their notice, which is why you don't see Emu reacting to too much, except for Joy Boy's Haki from the Egghead arc. That was it. But they're fighting each other. Is this so important to you that you kill your own friend to make it happen? You're just falling into line. They're using you and you don't even realize it. Don't you see? This is their answer. They only see your kind as a military force to be harnessed. And the thing is, Rox is right, because that's exactly what Emu is doing in the present day. Trying to force the giants to heal and subjugate them by basically kidnapping and threatening all of their children in order for Elbaf to fall under world government rule and the giants to basically be mercenaries that they can use with however they want. Rox was right. They only see your kind as a military force to be harnessed. They'll turn you into slaves and call you soldiers. Where has your warrior's pride gone? What does your own free will say? And then Harold throws away Rox by smashing him through like a small mountain. Don't act like you understand any of that. Our history of violence from when we called ourselves warriors is nothing but a shackle that weighs Elbaf down, now that we seek the way of peace. And we see the many people that didn't want anything to do with the giants when Harold went to go visit them and even offer them, peace offerings to try and smooth things over. Some people said, like, I think you're a good man, Harold, but we've been raided by giants in the past. And then we have a whole king saying fear is not easily wiped clean from the nation's mind. I'm sorry. Listen, Rox, no matter how foolish and impetuous the celestial dragons may be, they have the power to usher Elbaf into the circle of the world. No longer will we be on the outside. But I don't think Harold realizes that even on the inside, you're technically still not free. Outside, you're unaffiliated, and you're not even to be treated as people. Inside, you have to give a portion of what your entire nation makes. Many nations are struggling to even do that in order to remain affiliated to the world government. And if you're affiliated with the world government, then you are subject to their rules, their laws, their demands. He doesn't see this, and I understand where Rox is coming from. Because the world government is evil! They're evil! Evil! Harold doesn't see that. He sees the potential peace, but he doesn't understand how many people are going to lose their lives for that peace. He doesn't understand how many people are probably going to go missing for that peace. He doesn't understand that some of their children may not live to see the next day for this peace. Because if you join with the world government, you are signing away your freedom. You are free if you are not affiliated with them, because the world government expects stuff from you. You can't just idly live as if you're under their thumb and then you don't give anything in return. With the world government, it is give and take. Did an equivalent of the Kuja tribe assist Joy Boy during the Void Century, and this is some sort of curse punishment for it, like how Zunisha was made to keep walking? If anything, this could be just a sickness that wants sickness that just so happens to happen when it could just be something that's specific to the women of the Kuja pirates, their entire nation. It could just be a thing there. Or maybe the punishment was them being exiled into Amazon Lily. It feels weird. It's a sickness only the Kuja get. Again, Harold is tunnel visioned and changing the perception of the giants. He's not seeing the full picture. I can see why he wants to do it, but I can also see Rox's point, and I agree with it more. Yeah. I agree fully with Rox in this instance. And mind you, I've always been an advocate for peace. That's what my whole community works under. And I understand it. But of course, there are certain things that need to be done in order to ensure that peace. Some of it is not always good, some of it is not always kind, but it is to ensure that peace is maintained all the same. The difference between the peace that I push for this community and push on the Discord server is way different than the peace that Harold thinks is just going to usher into the world just because they become affiliated with the world government. The world government sees you as things to be used before and after. If you're affiliated with them, we need to keep up appearances of you being affiliated. But if we need something from you, we have the authority to make it so that it's an offer that you can refuse. If we want you to give all of our children, you give all your children over, we're gonna need you to give all your children over. We need your strongest warriors to join the world government on a mercenary detail. We're gonna need you to give us your best people. But who will protect our lands? Don't worry. We'll give them back when we're done with them. But if you don't give us your strongest warriors, we're gonna have to drop you from the world government title entirely. You can no longer go to the Reverie. You no longer get access to the world government's endless wealth of facilities and help. We're not gonna give you any more freedom if you don't do what we ask. It is literally like that. That's the world government. Sure, you could be under them and affiliated with them, but if they ask something for you, they could very well demand your entire family in return. Harold doesn't see that. Mind you, trying to demand anything of a giant, someone that's 100 times your size, unless you're properly powered, you're not going to easily subjugate a giant. However, if you have very powerful people on your side on the world government, it doesn't take much. See, and mind you, I say this again, I understand where Harold is coming from, but the big picture is the world government is not your friend. You literally just encountered an agent taking people who gave you food to help save your nation from famine. You literally just witnessed them being taken prisoner. The person taking them prisoner saying they're unaffiliated. We can do whatever we want with them. They have no rights. They're not even people to us. And you want to join this organization? You want to join them? Man, your voice acting is on point. Well, thank you. Thank you. Vito Corleone. Love that dude. But he doesn't see it. He doesn't see this. But listen, Rox, no matter how foolish and impetuous the celestial dragons may be, they have the power to usher Elbaf into the circle of the world. No longer will we be on the outside, but things won't be all that better on the inside. Stop it, you soft coward! And with whatever his sword style is, he launches Harold. Mind you, Harold is an ancient giant. He's got ancient giant blood in him. So he's many times larger than Rox is. He's many times stronger than the average giant. Rocks lifted this man off of his feet and sent him flying. The talks are off. I'm never inviting you again. I am the king. I can't risk my people's lives on the losing battle of a villain like you. Meanwhile, he's in a losing battle trying to get his nation affiliated with the world government. Pot kettle black. Come on, Harold. You know better. They could not see eye to eye. The odd little friendship between them came to an end, and for the time being, they met no longer, with both Rox and Harold both upset at each other, both leaving each other with frowns on their faces. Until the day of that fateful incident, and Loki is still trying to find news about Rox, and Ida's all like, Rox isn't coming, Loki. Shut up, you old hag. Want me to pour you some juice? Yes. Then we cut to God Valley itself, and this is before the God Valley incident. You guys corrected me during the reaction earlier today, but this is before the God Valley incident, and it's in the West Blue. In the West Blue, 39 years ago, God Valley and 2 twin boys have been born. And a woman with red hair is walking through the streets while everyone is looking at these children. And the woman and everyone is talking, saying, we can only hope they turn out as wise as you too. Without their father around, we'll have to help with that. Thank you, sir, she says. And what are their names? And we get introduced to baby Shanks and Shamrock. These are the events preceding before the God Valley incident, which is literally 2 years away. Remember when we were 4 years away? We are now 2 years away. And that is the end of all the chapters that we got in August. So, ladies and gentlemen, the backstory for Rox, the backstory for Harold, this big old massive flashback, which is one, okay, now you read the chapter to now. Okay, yeah. So this whole big flashback that we're getting is by far one of the most important flashbacks that we ever got. Most important flashback that we ever got. The introduction and formal reveal of Rox. Seeing the Rox pirates grow, the other members of the Rox pirates, the Roger pirates and them dealing with the Kuja pirates, young Roger and young Garp, all these events that are leading up to the God Valley incident. When I tell you that the moment we see the details of the God Valley incident in full, want to say a few things, my speculation or whatever, by all means, just as long as it's not Whitebeard again, because we all know you're going to be on that hill by yourself. We're not going to say, like, oh, that's an interesting theory, because it don't make sense. But by all means, shoot out your speculations. But I will say this, though. Let me get my speculations out of the way first. I am really looking forward to the next couple of chapters, because these next couple of chapters are going to be the most absolutely crucial. Because the events of God Valley gave us Kuma escaping, the introduction of the Rox pirates being completely dismantled, Rox's apparent death, Roger and Garp siding with each other to bring down the Rox pirates and Rox himself, and the facts of the events of God Valley happening to the point where God Valley itself got wiped off the map. Also, we don't know what is on God Valley to make Garling say, like, the Great One would be incredibly pleased with this. And like I said, it's obviously not a devil fruit, because Emu has no need for a devil fruit. Emu has no need for a devil fruit. They don't have a need for it because they're already all-powerful as it is. So a devil fruit just doesn't seem likely in a world where devil fruits are already prevalent. So it seems like it's something else other than the rich resources, other than the land. I feel Figureland causes the chaos in God Valley with Rox, Roger, and the government, which caused Shanks, Mama to hide Shanks in the chest, which led to Roger to find him there and maybe Figureland. But here's the thing, though. You're overlooking CDs. It was Ginny who told all the pirates of the events that were happening at God Valley. So it's not due to Garling. It's not due to Garling. We literally saw that in the flashback of Kuma, that it was Ginny who broke into the communications and let out that everything that was transpiring on God Valley, including the treasures that were taken from Pirate Island, that was Ginny's fault. So there's that. And I know the assumption you have of hiding Shanks in a chest because you saw the Roger Pirates pick up Shanks in a chest, but you're also forgetting that during this time, Roger didn't have his big mustache. Because if you're going off of the film Red movie, Roger already had a mustache at the time, and Roger, when he showed up during God Valley, which was the same time that Garp showed up, after he was chilling at a resort somewhere, Roger didn't have his big mustache. So that alone doesn't match up. Plus, and we should always, and I keep saying this to people, always don't take what happens within a movie as official canon stuff, because they've always been non-canon. They have always been non-canon. So don't use that as a basis to justify theories, because movies are non-canon unless Oda says otherwise. So that's out the window as well. But yeah, Jenny is the cause of the chaos, for God Valley and everything that goes down. Maybe Friggaland snatched Shamrock. See, that's the thing though. They're both babies, but we don't know the specifics of everything that goes down. We don't know who Shanks and Shamrock's mother is. We don't know of the events that circulate around why we no longer see Shanks' mother anymore. There's so many things we don't know. But I have to say that the next couple of chapters will be the most important flashback chapters that we ever get in One Piece, aside from Odin's backstory, where we see Whitebeard, young Whitebeard, and young Roger and the clash that they both had, and the adventures of Odin going back in time. So we don't know the specifics of it. There's just so much we don't know about the true events of God Valley beyond what Sengoku just lightly touched on. Don't always use events in the movies, but we do sometimes get canon information rather than canon events. Like the Figureland stuff was canon information we got. That was it, though. These next few chapters are going to be bananas. Exactly. Yes. And we leave here's the thing. We leave August with a chapter of 2 years before the God Valley incident. We're not going on break, which means that the first Sunday of September will continue with more of this flashback. If it doesn't immediately start the God Valley incident, it will more than likely lead into it. We are going to see the events of the God Valley incident in full before we go back to the present day. Mark my words, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so happy, firstly, to be alive to enjoy these chapters, but also the amount of information that we have been getting from these flashback chapters. Remember, Imu has already taken over the minds and bodies of all these giants and turned them into monsters in the present day. We already have the children that are being led away in order to force the giants into subjugation. The fact that Imu basically possessed Gunko in order to cause all of this to happen because the rest of the Holy Knights were taking too much time, that is big, okay? All 5 of the Gorosei showing up on Egghead was really big news, but Imu showing up and saying, fine, I'll do it myself through way of a body possession, that happening, that's crazy. I remember when you got lost in the hype during the reaction and thought Oda skipped over it. I did because I wasn't calm reading that last few panels, so I thought, no, Oda, why would you do this to us? But no, after I calmed down, and I'm glad I brought this up during the reaction, so it's not like, wow, this fool didn't realize that the God Valley incident hasn't happened yet. That's the reason why I am so glad I have such attentive people in chat. But all this stuff that we've been getting about Rox, how great of a character Rox is. Can we just say how well Rox is written? Can we just acknowledge that? Oda has written a very good character with Rox, okay? Finding out that he has a woman on the side and he has a child, and he already has a child in way of, Marshall D. Teach. That's big. Because you don't see too many characters being happy about their sons. aside from, backstories and whatnot. But yeah, Rox is an honorable dude. Despite being a pirate who does whatever he wants, he still has a modicum of honor. Now, however, that pretty much only extends up until now mainly because Rox and Harold have reached a point in their friendship where they can't be friends anymore because Harold didn't he said he wavered, but he didn't he fighting Rox. So it probably is more than likely he didn't waver too long because the mere thought of joining the world government and its perks were too great to ignore the fact that you could be losing out on the only friend who was powerful enough to maybe usher in real change in the world by getting rid of the world government itself. So it just made things awkward at best. It made things awkward at best. But these next couple of chapters we get for One Piece, I don't know how many breaks we're going to get in September. Whether we get like a whole bunch or maybe we just get like maybe one, let alone two. If we get just like one break within September and we get nothing but chapters, that would be great. He feels more like a person like Luffy than Blackbeard so far. Yeah, Rox is more in line. He has a more carefree type nature than Blackbeard. Blackbeard is shady. But Rox, he just tells people, hey, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to go ahead and do it. Oh, the Navy showed up? Hey, don't drop that treasure, but we're going to mess all of this Navy up, okay? Let's just go ahead and do it. He's a violent individual, but he's not sneaky violent. He's upfront in your face violent. Rox doesn't strike me as a person that will stab you in the back. He would literally slap you in the face from the front because Rox is not the type of person that would try to do counterattacks, sneak attacks or flanking like a raptor would. No, he's the type of person that says, I see you in front of my face. Don't you move because that side of your body is what I'm hitting first. That is exactly what Rox is. And Rox isn't a coward like Teach. Yeah. Because the thing with Teach is he's the only D that wavered in the face of death. The only D that we've seen in this story that wavered when he was getting very close to dying. When the nature of death started to creep on him, he got scared. He didn't take it and embrace it with a smile. He got scared. And even Whitebeard knows that Teach is not the type of person that Roger is waiting for. So while he may be a D, he's an anomaly. And more than just name alone, but also in body, because he's also the he's also the only person in the world that can currently possess 2 devil fruits, which should be impossible. So I would love to know how that works, but there's just so much about Rox that just makes me like him as a character. I'm so happy that we have got these chapters. Rox runs the ones. We haven't really seen him flee from a battle aside from Emu, but here's the thing though, he wasn't running, he was just like, yeah, I'll be back here. Mark my words, I'm gonna come back. But he doesn't feel like a flee situation, but more like a tactical retreat. Yeah, he said he's gonna be back. This man, when he said he was gonna be back at Emu's most innermost sanctum, I believe him. Rox is a person that stands on business. Complete business. Even more so than Teach. But overall, I think we got a good ensemble of chapters within August. September starts tomorrow, so who knows what September is going to bring. But, wow. We are almost, in the grand scope of things, we only have a couple more months of 2025 left. Can y'all think about that? Think about that for a moment. September starts tomorrow. After that, it's October. After that, it's November. After that is December. And then we move on to 2026. Goodness, time flies. But what I do know is these chapters of One Piece have been very, very good. And I am so pleased to be able to share all of this with all of you. The channel continues to grow. Let me just say that to everyone, from my members to my moderators and everything. The channel has been growing exponentially lately. As it's been growing exponentially lately, more and more people have been just checking out this channel and everything that we do here, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you. I wanted to do this as like a separate video and just thank you for all the stuff that you've done for me, but I want to take this moment now before I close out this session. I am so proud of what we have built thus far. We're getting closer to 6,000 subscribers. That's a big number to me. To me, that's a big number. but we're getting closer to 6,000 subscribers. And I wanted to say thank you for all the support, all the love, all the help that you guys have shown me because you guys helped me. But I just want to say thank you. Doing this as a full time job has been nothing but fun for me. This isn't even work, but this dream I'm living out right now with you guys, it is just so amazing. And I just wanted to say thank you. But I think I said everything I wanted to say about the chapters we got in August. And I am so excited about September because I feel like September is about to be an incredibly crucial month for One Piece and this flashback that we're still going back through. I honestly feel in September we are going to see the God Valley incident and everything that goes down. We might even see a small glimpse of Kuma in the background while we're doing this whole God Valley incident thing, but it's really going to be a focus on Rocks and the crew. And that's where I think the story's going to go to. And then when we get there, once we're done with the God Valley incident, then we're going to get the aftermath, and then we're going to get the events that lead to Harold being skewered by his own men. Mark my words. I'm saying this at 6:37 p.m. on the 31st of August. We're getting the God Valley incident. We're going to get the God Valley incident aftermath, maybe even a narration of the aftermath, and then we're going to get back to Elbaf and the events that transpire in order that leads to Harold dying. In that order. That's what I'm saying. But that's all I wanted to say to you guys today. I just wanted to say, and also don't worry, I won't forget your birthday, Ozzy, and I won't forget Juke's birthday. Your birthday is on Saturday, his is on Sunday. I'll wish you both a happy birthday then. Harold is definitely going to be there, and this will lead to Harold's death. Thank you for being you on that note until next week. Also, another tangent. What's another tangent? By all means, make your voice known, peoples, before we close out for this evening. Sorry if this stream carried on a little long. It's just that I wanted to get everything I felt about these chapters that we got for the past month out, and I believe I said everything I wanted to. I'm surprised Ida has survived this long. I'm not, because everyone knows not to mess with someone that Harold cherishes, because Harold was willing to body one of his own people if they threaten Ida's life. So that doesn't surprise me. So but we'll keep a watchful eye. But I said everything I wanted to say. Thank you for tuning in to today's One Piece Reflections. I know it's been a very packed day with One Piece, Sakamoto Days, and then this Reflections, but I just wanted to say thank you everyone for tuning in for this specific moment. It's just weird we haven't seen her in current day. I'm pretty sure that'll be explained, but we'll probably cross that bridge when we get to it. Maybe it's something that'll be brought up in the month of September. We'll have to see. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'm done. It's been a long talk, but it's time for me to bring it to a close so I can rest. Hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. I honestly believe that September is going to be incredible for One Piece.